Yo, welcome back to Turn My City Up podcast. Today we're gonna cover obviously the finals, but first we're gonna get on the Suns' new head coach, Frank Vogel. Um, you guys all know like I said, the people that follow me on Twitter and all that. Um, he was, I would say he was my 1A 1B choice. I wanted him or Nick Nurse. As we know, Nick Nurse went to the Sixers, so we got Vogel. So pretty much so far too, this offseason so far is going how I wanted it to go. Like I say, I never like saying someone should lose their job, but when you know someone, when you know there's a coach that's like Monty, that you know he's gonna get another job because he's a good coach and he can coach. Like he's not one of those getting fired because he can't coach. It's just as James Dolan said in the press conference, teams need a new voice. They're going into a new era, so there's different coaches for different type of situations and locker rooms and all that you need to, probably go with. But so that happened. I wanted a new coach, obviously. Before that, obviously, we all wanted a new owner, which that happened. And Matt, since he's getting, to me so far, he's been doing a great job so far already as an owner. Just when I've been hearing like little things like, the smaller employees, I guess you would say, that work for the Suns organization. Then after that, obviously, our exit to the Nuggets or whatever. But obviously, you want to try to win a chip every year, but y'all know like that roster, wasn't ready. So like I've been saying, like starting this next year is the year where we actually start competing, and these years is where, it really counts. But then we go on, like I said, go on from the new coach or the old coach on to a new coach and Frank Vogel. I'm one of those guys, like I've been saying on Twitter too a lot. I feel like the Suns, like just over their like history, I feel like we've always been known like the team that scores a lot of points, like explosive offenses, and I can't really think of a Suns team where you think like, okay, that team was dominant on defense. I can't think of that. I don't even think, like I said, I was young. I was a kid when it was the Barkley years when they went to the finals. But even then, like the stories I hear is just about how good, they were too on offense. Like, they had a lot of players over there that got buckets on that team too. Obviously led by Barkley. But you never really hear like the Suns, like that Suns team was dominant on defense. I feel like we never really leaned into that as an organization, which is why I wanted either Nick Nurse or Vogel, because I want us to be that. I feel like you got to be a dominant defense to win a championship. If you're not a dominant defense, you got to be, your defense still got to be really good, but then you just got to be just insanely good on offense, which is looking like right now, because people are going to make the case, obviously, if the Nuggets win the championship, that you can win with a great offense. But the Nuggets still, like, when it's time to guard, they guard. They probably have had one of the better defenses too in the playoffs. So at the end of the day, you got to guard, bro. You got to be elite on defense. When the Suns got to the finals in 2021, we got stops. Da was doing great anchoring our defense. Obviously, the Twins. We had Jay Crowder. We had wings that can guard and switch, and But I think this next year's team, we get the roster right now that will be even better than that team on defense. Because, like I say, even that team, the 21 team, we're talked about as our offense. I want to be looked at like, okay, that team was just really dominant on defense. Obviously, they're still going to talk about our offense because we have Devin Booker and Kevin Durant, so the offense is going to look great most of the time. But especially if we have the right pieces around them. But my thing is, I want to be a dominant defense. That's really all that it really is. So Frank Vogel has had 3 teams that have been the best defensive teams in the league when he's a coach. So obviously you give him the pieces, you can, he's going to turn your team It's one of the best defensive teams in the league, if not the best defensive team in the league. Obviously, we all know he won the chip with the Lakers. They were dominant on defense. That wasn't that long ago. Obviously, that was 2020. So we know he can do it. We know he can coach superstars because he coached the biggest superstar probably ever. Not even probably, like, he's coached LeBron James, the biggest superstar ever in the sport. Probably the biggest, you could argue he might be the biggest superstar in sports history. So he knows that's two, those are two boxes checked right there for me. His press conference, I loved his press conference, obviously. Most of the coach is going to say the right thing, but still, it's just really, I was already excited about what we could do on the defensive end, and, obviously that was brought up. He brought up how KD texted him and said he can't wait to guard in the system because, we know, I think, KD has championships, so he knows, you got to guard. And as you guys watch KD, you see he takes defense serious, and he's out there competing and trying to, he's trying to get stops. He's not just, people always, like we say, talk about KD's offense, but he's really an elite defender when he's locked in, which is most of the time, obviously, in the playoffs. So that's the main thing. I'm excited. Like I said, this offseason is going exactly how I wanted to so far. Yeah, obviously, we got to get on the news where, Chris Haynes dropped it a little too early where he said the Sun, obviously Chris Paul was getting waived. Then, a report came out, he's not technically waived yet, but so clearly, as I've thought about, the Monty thing, like it was time to move on. I feel like it's the same with Chris. And Chris and Monty was kind of like, they close, so they kind of, his system was fit for, like, Chris Paul, like. So, I feel like it's time to move on there. But I have said, too, though, if Chris Paul stays, he would be great in, like, the role that Kyle Lowry is playing right now for the Heat in the finals where he's coming off the bench. And Kyle Lowry is somebody with a championship. And he's willing to come off the bench because, he knows where he's at, in this stage of his career. So, obviously, there's the route of either we can trade Chris, we can either waive and stretch him, or we could just waive him. And then, obviously, if we waive him, we can bring him back. But I feel like it probably would be, it all depends on what he wants and what he sees himself as right now in his career. And if it doesn't align with what the Suns think his role should be and all that, then obviously it was just best for both sides to part ways and he goes somewhere where he feels like he can play the role he wants to play. But like I said, I did really like, obviously, that depends. That's why, they're having the discussions to see, so that, we'll see. Obviously, that'll probably happen soon. I think they have to have a decision on that, on the 28th. I feel like it'll come faster than that. I feel like the Suns been, I feel like Matt Ishbia and James Jones is like, and it feels like, they're moving fast on this kind of, this stuff now. So, we'll see on that soon. But that's another thing, obviously I feel like we should move on. And now, let's get into the DA thing. Now, I've been saying on Twitter, too, that probably, it feels like both of them might have to go. But even then, too, I've changed my mind. Like, have to is strong. But you just get a sense, like, it's a chance that both are gone. But then I feel like it might be a chance both stay. Which I think is the least likely outcome. I feel like one of them, if not both, will be gone. But I do think, and I think a lot of Suns fans have said this too on Twitter, like a lot of them share the same feeling, like, we feel like Vogel can get the best out of him. And I feel like Vogel really does like DA. Because you guys got to remember, too, like, DA's first playoff series, which was basically all of our our young guys' first playoff series, was that Lakers series. And obviously, Vogel was still the coach. And, like, he was, obviously, he got to see firsthand what DA was doing to them in that series. And obviously, he was a handful. I think he mentioned it in, he might have mentioned it in his press conference, but DA was great in that series, like he was, pretty much that whole, 21 run. And that was, other coaches, obviously, they see guys like that as talented as him. Obviously, he went one for a reason. Coaches as detail-oriented and locked in, like, on little things in defense, like Vogel, could really, he could really work for a guy like DeAndre. And obviously, too, to me at this point, like, if that guy, because he's probably one of the best coaches, obviously, in the league at like in terms of as a defensive mind. If you can't get Da to lock in with him, then at that point it's on DeAndre, and then you gotta let him go if he doesn't want to lock in and do the things we want him to do here. Like I said, that's one of the main things. So you always gotta remember, like, sometimes a player feel like they're in a stage of their career where they don't want to do what the team wants them to do, like the role the team wants them to have. And I'm not saying he don't want to have the role. So I'm saying you don't know. Only the team's gonna know that. They have those conversations, but that's for the team, organization, and his agent and all them to figure that out. But obviously, you guys know I know he's capable. And I feel like a lot of his is just mental, and you got to get along with the coaching staff and be on board with whatever the plan is. Like, they just need to ask him, like, this is what we want you to do for this team. Ask him if he's 100% on that. And if he's not, then there's no, then that's when they need to, move on from him as well. So we'll see. I really do, like, me personally, I would say I'm 50-50 on, just letting him go somewhere else, get a fresh start. And then the other half of me is like, dang, I think Vogel could make him even better than he was in in 2021 in that run. Like, I feel like I can get him right. Like I said, new coaching staff, new system. Then you look at, obviously Kevin Young is basically going to be able to take over the offense now here. And Kevin Young's been here and knows DeAndre and knows, his strengths, his weaknesses. So he might be able to just thrive here. So it's like I'm 50-50 on it. I know a lot of our fans don't want to hear that because, a lot of our fans obviously despise that kid. Like, despise. Like, people try to act like they don't despise him. And it's funny because you guys know I always laugh because, if you ask people on my Twitter, they act like I hate Chris Paul. When I have never hated that man. I've just always felt like, for his sake and the Suns' sake, a certain role was, let me word this, like, him playing a different role would have been better for him and the Suns. And I get, a lot of that is because some of, the roster wasn't put together well enough, and it made him look a little worse. And, like I said, it's a lot on him at his age right now. So that's why I, brought up, the Lowry role. You just significantly decreased the role. And that's still, like, bro, being a sixth man is still, like, that's still a huge role, bro. Like, you got to come in and, hold stuff down and, keep the train rolling, when the starters come out. So it's not like that's some, I feel like a lot of people take that as, like, that's a bad thing because you're coming off the bench. Some of the best players of all time are known as six men. Like a Manu Ginobili, a Jamal Crawford. Like, he obviously don't play like any of those dudes, but, like, bro, it's not a bad thing to be a six man or come off the bench or have a bench role. Like, you're gonna contribute to the championship that way. You get one. So for me, like I said, I've never hated. I just wanted to change his role. People, the main thing to me, like, a lot of people. I'm not saying. Let me say this. I'm not saying their fans should not be tired of him and not want him gone and all that. I get it. Because especially when you look at, like, a lot of fans, like, they just want effort. And sometimes you don't see it from him. So I'm never going to get mad at that. Like, yeah, obviously, bro, you have to try. You got to be out there. Like, we shouldn't be questioning your effort. I feel like you don't want to, be out there. I get these guys are human, obviously, which I always stress. So something's bothering some of these guys. Everybody's mental is different. You're gonna see it out there on the court. If people aren't on the same page, you're gonna see it sometimes. So that's why I don't kill him so much about it. But I get like why people be upset about it. Like, you got to show up every night and try to work. You got to he should never get outworked because he's too talented. If he just works hard, he's gonna play better and have an impact than most bigs because he's more talented than most bigs. Like, he went #1 for a reason. So that's my thing on there. Like, that's the difference to me between the two. Like, the people that try to. But then again, there's people too that just hate Chris Paul. Obviously, on our team, on our fan base, I should say, that just dislike Chris Paul. Like I said, I'm not one of the people. I don't just hate the dude. Like I said, just because I want him to have a different role, don't mean I dislike him or feel like. Same way about Monty. Like I said, like people that act like you. Just because you feel like a team and a player or a coach or a GM or whatever it is in the organization, you feel like they should move on. That don't mean you hate them at all. The only way people should feel that way is if you're just like kind of just talking crazy and talking down on them. But like, if you're just keeping it basketball, then you should never really be accused of that. So that's where I'm at with that. So this is what I'll say to wrap up the Sun scene before I get into this Nuggets and Heat. So right now, if you ask me today, I would say I would move on from Chris. I feel like it's that time too. But I will not be upset, like I said, if he, they bring him back on like a Lowry type role. That's cool because he still adds value there. But I feel like he might still want to be a starter, and I feel like he's not a starter anymore. So that's why I would just move on. So we can avoid any of that kind of, I don't want to say beef, but he might not, maybe he don't want to, come off the bench. I don't know yet. So, but that's what I would do. I would move on. But out of respect to him, because he gave us great years, he was part of that finals run. I would try to get him somewhere he wants to go. I would do that. I would give him that respect and get him somewhere he wants to go. That's what my next move would be. On the DA thing, like I said, I'm still 50-50 on that. I don't know. And I know people going to say, oh, it's because God's your guy. You want to, I've always, had his back, defending him, all this, blah, blah, blah. But all my stuff I'm actually thinking about basketball. I'm thinking about age. I'm thinking about, talent level. Thinking about situations, coaching. There's a lot more avenues for Aiden to work here than it is for Chris Paul. And that's just because of Chris Paul's age and his, obviously height and all that. But I'm 50-50 on that. But next video, I'll get into like, guys I would want to target and all that stuff like that. But I want to wait first, obviously, because I want to see what happens with, the Chris Paul stuff and all that. But okay, so into this Heat and Nuggets. Not really surprised by anything I've seen. Not surprised that Miami went and took Game 2. Not surprised that the Nuggets came back Game 3 and won in Miami. I think the Nuggets have won what is it, 5 road games in a row? That's tough. That's tough. Obviously they beat us, and they beat the Lakers twice in LA. And they just came, obviously, and they beat Miami in Miami. I picked, last pod I picked the Nuggets, obviously, I believe in 6, I believe I picked them. I still feel that way. Because last night, obviously, you guys seen Jokic and Jamal Murray both of them go for 30-point triple-doubles, which I believe is history by teammates. They're on an insane run, obviously, these playoffs. And obviously, most people are after this run are going to believe that Jokic is the best player in the world. To me, obviously, you can make that case for him, but I always feel like you can make a case for a couple guys. I don't think it's like when LeBron was at his peak, you just felt like obviously there was no question it was him. There's nobody in the league where I feel that way because Jokic and Giannis, and people are making a case for Embiid. People can still make a case for Steph and KD. Bron, I think people have finally, you see, obviously his age. He's not the same LeBron, but he still has a elite impact. But, there's a lot of guys you can argue for. But, obviously, I haven't seen anything that's changed my mind on the Nuggets winning this series and winning the championship. I just know, like I've said anyways in my last pod, Miami Heat's going to make them work. Like, it's not going to be easy whatsoever. Spo is, like I said, the best coach in basketball. Spo is one of the reasons I get so excited about Vogel, because you see Spo out there and the way he coaches up his team's defense and how he's a tactician with the defense. And I'm excited. Y'all know I'm a defense guy, so like I said, and being a Suns fan, that's not something, like I said, we ever really known for. So I'm just excited that we are most likely going to be an elite defensive team next year, to go with two of the best offensive superstars right now in the league, bro. That's exciting to me. But so like I said, the only thing that I would say is a little bit surprising to me is still, I feel like Jimmy. I won't say this too. I feel like Jimmy might be, hurt. I don't always like doing that because people won't say his excuses. His ankle might be still kind of cooked. Because we all know, he turned his ankle, I believe, in that game 7. I don't know if it's the same ankle either, because I'm pretty sure he turned his ankle in the Knicks series too. So, he's probably a little banged up, honestly. But, a lot of these guys are, so I don't want to really just... But I guess it's not surprising. I just feel like he should probably be a little more aggressive to kind of, start the games. But it's good that he's trying to get all the other shooters involved, because they need them to be involved. So I don't think he's having the wrong approach, but I think there's sometimes in the game where you're like, where's Jimmy? Just to, kind of stop the bleeding and stop the Nuggets. Because the Nuggets are too explosive where you just... letting them go on multiple 8-0, 10-0 runs, and you just feel like you feel like Jimmy got to be that guy to get a bucket and stop them runs and go himself a little run sometimes. And I think sometimes he tries, but Jimmy too, his jump shot, obviously comes and goes sometimes. But when he gets hot, especially when he gets to that midi, it could be a problem. And he's getting to the rim and drawing fouls, but his offense has fell off a little bit since the earlier series, but. He's gonna have to be special for them to even, win this series, to me, anyways. Even if the Heat shooters are hitting shots, obviously, that's how they won, game 2. They was hitting shots, and Jimmy, pretty much did a good job in that fourth quarter in Denver, helping close. And another thing that's, I would say this is not surprising me, because I believe in Bam, but Bam has had I feel like he's been very good, very comfy in this series. Obviously, everyone knows obviously now, bro. There's nothing you can do to really stop Jokic. You just got to make him work and hope he's missing. And Bam's doing his best, but Bam is also playmaking at an elite level, and he's scoring at a high level too. He looks very comfortable on offense this year now. And I was tweeting during the series, Bam is probably my favorite big right now. Obviously, Ayton's right there. I said the same thing about Looney. Looney's up there. I know that's random, but Looney's a dog, a workhorse. And, yeah, those are, my 3 favorite bigs in the league right now. But I think... this is how I think it's going to go for them to win in 6. I think Miami's going to win Game 4. We're going to be 2-2, and then I feel like the Nuggets are going to win the next 2 games. And that'll be series. So that's pretty much, like I said, I picked them Nuggets in 6. I think Miami's going to bounce back and win a game in Miami. They're going to go, it's going to be 2-2. I'm going to go back to Denver. I don't think Denver is going to lose twice in the same series on that home floor. I just don't. They're going to go back winning Denver. Then I think Denver's going to be juiced up, coming back to Miami. They're gonna win a championship and possibly get celebrate in Miami. Gonna want to celebrate in Miami. Who knows? Maybe they'll fly right back to Denver. I don't know, but that's how I think it's gonna happen. So I think Denver's gonna, like I said, I haven't changed my mind on anything I've seen in that series. I will say they need Caleb Martin to at least play as half as good as he did last series. I need more from Strus. And another thing, if I was them and they feel like Hero can come back, I would bring Hero back. Because obviously, he got here for a reason. Because they're so well coached. They do have so many guys that can't catch fire. But they still are missing. A lot of the times I feel like the Heat loses because they're missing that offensive punch. And obviously Tyler Hero is somebody that helps with that. Like Tyler Hero can go out there and get high. He's one of those guys that can go on runs himself and get high and take over a game. So I feel like they're really missing him, honestly. I know a lot of people make a lot of jokes about him and try to say, he's not but he's a good player. And his offense is obviously needed and missing in this series. So if they feel like he's healthy, obviously, I wouldn't hesitate to bring him back because they need it. Because the Nuggets are so good on offense that they need all the offense they can get. But, excuse me, godly. But I'm gonna leave it at that. Next time we come on here, we'll see. I don't know if I'll do it after next game or the game after that, but it always depends. If some news drops about the Chris Paul situation with the Suns, if some Suns news drops, so we'll see. I'm gonna try to get this uploaded today. Hosting another basketball run this Saturday. I gotta actually get serious and be able to have a camera handy and put out the IRL hoop videos on here too. So we're trying to focus on this. Pretty much gonna stop. I was focusing on streaming for a while, but I've been I'm in this program where I'm about to be an intern. I'm working for banks and all that. So I feel like I'm gonna have a lot going on this summer, but I'm focusing on YouTube like I usually have been. I was focusing on streaming for a while, like Twitch, but YouTube is really where I have fun at, making pods, making hoop videos. So this Saturday we're gonna try to get a hoop video out. Obviously, I don't think it'll be out Saturday because we're gonna hoop Saturday, but I'll try to get it out Sunday, and we'll go from there. We can try to keep being consistent on here. I feel like I've been being, somewhat consistent, because like I said, I've been, with my internship program and all that, but we'll get right. I'll see y'all next episode. The next time I upload, it'll be a basketball video, so look out for that. If you're in Phoenix, you want to come hoop, let me know. Tap in with me on Twitter, but I'll leave it there.